Hi boys and girls, welcome to Everyday Math Lesson 6.5, Subtraction Stories. The materials that you'll need today, notebook paper, pencil, math journal, your template, and then HomeLink 6.5. Let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is go over our math boxes from the previous lesson. So if you can open up your math journal to page 143. If you're noticing that you have any mistakes, please fix those with your pencil and eraser. For the first question, fill in the frames, and we had two different rules. We needed to either subtract 10 or add 2. So we started at 139, and I had to do the opposite. So I had to add 10 to have 149. Then I needed to do the opposite to get the number before, so I subtracted 2 for 147, and again did the opposite and added 10 for my 157. Then if I go back to 139, I can do the rule as intended. So 139 plus 2 is 141, and then 141 minus 10 would get me to 131. For question 2, I changed the directions a little bit and said draw 3 ways to show 35 cents. So there's lots of different ways, but these are 3 ways that I came up with today. So I have a quarter and a dime, so 25 plus 10 to get me to 35. 3 dimes, 10, 20, 30, plus a nickel to bring me to 35. 2 dimes, 10, 20, plus 3 nickels, so I would have my 25, 30, 35. So just double check to make sure that your ways also equaled 35 cents. For question 3, I'm writing less than, greater than, or equal to. The unit that I chose to use today were rocks. So looking at this first one, I know that 5 plus 3 is 8. And 8 plus 18 would get me to 26. So I know that 26 is greater than 20. For this next one, I have 8 plus 7, which I know is 15, plus 5 more is 20, which is less than 36. For my next one, if I think 28 plus 2 would bring me to 30, 30 plus 30 is 60, 60 plus 20 would bring me to 80, plus 1 more is 81. And I know that 76 is less than 81. And then for my last one, 25 plus 25 is equal to 100. 100 plus 50 equals, 25 plus 25 is equal to 50. 50 plus 50 equals 100. So 100 is equal to 100. For question 4, which line segment is about 1 inch long? And you should have chose the third one. For question 5, so we're looking at our time, and I can see that my time is 9:35. 1 hour earlier would be 8:35, and then 1 hour later would be 10:35. For question 6, we have the in and out, and our rule is to find half. So half of 4 is 2, half of 8 is 4, half of 20 is 10, and then 58, I would need to double that. So I would need to think 58 plus 58, which would bring me to 116. So double check that your page is correct before moving on to the next page. All right, for these next slides, if you can either use notebook paper or whiteboard and marker if available. If the speed is ever too fast, pause as often as needed. Our first question, so if we have the problem 56 minus 24, can you think about a couple different ways that you would solve that problem? Work them out on your paper and then press play when you're ready to hear some ways. All right, second graders, so a couple different strategies to solve that problem. So if I count up, I could start with the smaller number of 24, and I could count up by ones or count up by tens. I could also count back, so I could start with the bigger number of 56, and I could count back 24 by ones or by tens and ones. I could also count back to 24. Another strategy is I could think about money, and I could think of $56 and I could subtract $20, and then I could subtract 4. So if I know that 56 minus 20 would bring me to 36, and then 36 minus 4 would bring me to 32. And the last thing is sometimes we might use counters or manipulatives to work out a problem. But either way, we should have figured out that 56 minus 24 equals 32. So today we're going to take a look at some ways using base 10 blocks. So for the first problem, if I have 36 minus 14, when you come up with the answer, you could write down your answer on your whiteboard. But what I did is I first showed the number 36 by showing 3 longs and 6 cubes. And then I crossed off 14. So notice how I put a red line on 10, and then I crossed off with an X 4 more. So now I'm looking at how many blocks do I have left? And you can see that I have 2 longs, which would be 20, and I have 2 ones. So my answer is 22. And hopefully you got that answer too, maybe a different way. So let's practice a couple more problems like this on our whiteboard. So if I have 45 minus 22, and I'm showing you first 45 with my base 10 blocks, if you want to use this way on your whiteboard, that's great. If you have another way to figure it out, that's fine too. But why don't you press pause to solve and play to check. All right, second graders. So what I did is I crossed off 22. You can see I crossed off 2 longs and 2 ones. So looking at what I have left, I have 23 blocks left. Let's try 2 more like that. So could you solve on your board 36 minus 14? Press pause and play to check. So I showed you 36 blocks, and now I'm crossing off a 10 and crossing off 4 ones. And now you can see that I have 2 longs left, which is 20, and I have 2 ones, so 22. I have one more problem like this. If I have 57 minus 31, you can see I have 5 longs and 7 cubes. Can you press pause to solve and play to check? So you can see that I crossed off 3 longs for my 30 and I crossed off 1 cube, showing that I'm taking away 31. And then what I have left, I have 2 longs left, I have 20 left, and I have 6 cubes, giving me 26. So when problems are looking like this, they go pretty smoothly. But sometimes we have them looking a little bit different. So look at the difference in this problem. So this problem, I have 53 minus 38. So notice how I had my 5 longs and my 3 cubes for my 53, and I'm taking away 38. So I took away 3 longs, but then for my 8, I took away my 3 cubes, and then I also had to take away 5 of another long. So now take a look at what I have and write down your answer on your board. You should see that I still have 1 long left. I still have 10, and then I have 5 cubes, giving me a total of 15. Let's practice a few problems like that. So I have 53 minus 35. You can notice that I put out 5 longs and 3 cubes. Could you try solving that on your board and press play to check? So I crossed off 3 longs, crossing off 30, and then I crossed off 3 cubes and 2 more cubes. So you can see what I have left. You can see that I have a long and then I have 8 cubes, giving me a total of 18 left. We'll try 2 more like this. 35 minus 9. You can see I have my 35 blocks here. Press pause to solve and play to check. So when I'm taking away 9, I chose to take away my 5 here, and then I took away 4 more. And you can see I have 2 of my longs left, and then plus I have 6 of my cubes for 26. We'll try one more practice one. 24 minus 16. Press pause and play to check. So you can see that I crossed off 1 of my longs, I crossed off my 4 cubes plus 2 more, so I don't have any whole longs left, so I didn't put anything in that column, but I have 8 cubes left. So now let's apply what we learned looking at that HomeLink 6.5. So if you can put your whiteboard to the side and take a look at the page that looks like this. So let's look at the example first. So they're asking us how many cubes are shown as separate cubes and as part of the longs. So we can see that we have a total of 42 cubes. Then they asked us to cross out or to subtract 23. So we crossed off 2 longs and we crossed off 3 of the cubes. And then looking how many are left, I can see that we have 19 left. My number model is 42 minus 23 equals 19. Could you try that same problem with number 1? Press pause and play to check. Okay, so for number 1, I'm going to have to kind of reveal a little bit here. So I can see that I have a total of 58 cubes, and they asked me to cross off or subtract 17. So I crossed off my 1 long and my 7 cubes, and then I can count and see that I have 41 left, giving me the number model 58 minus 17 equals 41. We have some more problems like this to practice. So if you look at the back side, we have problems 2, 3, 4, and 5. Can you press pause and solve these problems and then press play when you're ready to check? Press pause now. All right, second graders, let's take a look at that first problem, number 2. So I can see that I started with 26 cubes. I crossed off 18 of them, and then I can see that I have 8 left. So 26 minus 18 equals 8. And if I'm about to reveal an answer before you've solved, press pause as often as needed. For question 3, I started with 43. I crossed off 25, and you can see that I have 18 left. So 43 minus 25 equals 18. For question 4, we are starting with 39 cubes. You can see that I crossed off 32 of them and that I have 7 left. So 39 minus 32 equals 7. And for the last question, number 5, I started with 61 cubes. I crossed off 47 of them, and I have 14 left. So 61 minus 47 equals 14. We will continue to work more on subtraction in future lessons. The last thing we'll talk about today are our math boxes. So if you can open up to page 145 and take a look, circle what is likely, circle the one that is likely to happen, measure the line segments in both inches and centimeters, filling out your total part. How many dots do you see? Which number occurs the most often? And if you'd like to use a calculator for number 6 to count by nines starting at 76, and then see if you notice any type of pattern. All right, I'll see you next time.